I participated in a live variety show, but I ended up with a beautiful wife. It all started when the host randomly used my phone to make a call. They saw a contact in my phone labeled as wife. I tried to stop them, but the call had already gone through. The cold, distant voice of the film queen echoed in the live broadcast room. "What's up? Miss me?" "But we are just a contract couple, Coco." At that moment, I felt my scalp tingle. Liu Ryan and I were only contractually married. We were just each other's shields from being pressured into marriage. We had agreed never to mention it in public. I quickly reminded her, "Teacher Ryan, I'm on a variety show recording." Liu Ryan paused for a moment. Her voice turned cold and distant again. I was just rehearsing lines on set. I was reading from a script. Do you need something?" I mumbled a few random things and quickly hung up the call. Then I noticed the host giving me a mischievous look. I forced a smile, pretending to be calm. "I'm just a fan. I grew up watching Teacher Liu's films. My dream was to marry someone as beautiful and talented as her." The host gave a meaningful "oh." He played along. "Funny, my dream was also to marry film queen Liu and reach the pinnacle of life. I'll change my contact labels too, then." My smile faded. My fist clenched tightly. The comment section exploded. "Last year during that dating show, I already felt something was going on between them. Is the couple I ship actually becoming real? Stop associating with failed celebs. Stop trying to ride the wave of popularity." Angry Queen Liu stands alone in her glory. Liu Ryan's fans caught wind of the news. Within minutes, the live broadcast room was bombarded relentlessly. I was already used to it. Last year, on a celebrity dating show, Liu Ryan was the biggest star. I was just dragged in as a temporary filler. But in the end, only the two of us successfully paired up. Though the audience believed it was all scripted, no one took it seriously. Yet Liu Ryan's fans firmly resisted it. Why? Because I had only debuted 2 years ago. I had barely landed any roles. No one in the industry knew who I was. To think I dared to aim for the film queen was like a toad lusting after a swan. But did it matter? After all, I had already won the beauty. After work, I put on my mask and had I headed straight to the film set. By the time I reached the hotel, it was late at night. Liu Ryan was curled up on the sofa, holding the script for the next day's shoot. She had already fallen asleep from exhaustion. The small suite's living room was lit by only a floor lamp. The soft orange light bathed her face in warmth and tenderness. I took off my coat and instinctively quieted my steps. Just as I reached the mirror, Liu Ryan woke up. She rubbed her eyes. Her voice was groggy. "You're back. Why don't you go to bed? I was waiting for you." Warmth spread through my heart. I sat down beside her. Liu Ryan turned over, draping her leg over mine. "I tripped during filming today. Could you put some ointment on for me?" Liu Ryan became famous as an action star. She had many fight scenes in her films. Injuries were a regular occurrence for her. Her robe slipped open, revealing a long, pale leg with a noticeable bruise. I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. I really wanted to tell her not to push herself so hard. I could easily support her on my own, but filmmaking is her career and her dream. I had witnessed her struggles firsthand, so I had no right to ask her to give it up. I swallowed my words. I rubbed the medicinal alcohol in my palms to warm it up, and gently applied it to the bruise on her leg. "Sorry about what happened today," I said. I explained in detail about the live broadcast call. "Did it bother you?" I asked. Liu Ryan casually replied, "It's fine. I've had plenty of scandals. One more won't make a difference." I breathed a sigh of relief. She glanced at me and added, "But a lot of people are cursing you. It's kind of annoying to see. I can post our marriage certificate online to clear things up for you." I quickly stopped her. "Don't be impulsive. In the past few years, Liu Ryan's career had been soaring. Announcing our marriage wouldn't do her any good. Liu Ryan misunderstood. You don't want to go public? I kept my head down, focusing on applying the ointment. I didn't notice her expression growing cold. I honestly nodded. Forget it, I was overthinking it, she said. She pulled her leg away, her face cold as she walked into the bedroom, tossing my pillow and blanket out. Tonight, you sleep on the couch. I was stunned. Why? Don't get in the way of my dreams. In them, I'm riding on clouds as a great hero again. I was left confused, unsure of what I had done wrong. A new friend I had met recently saw the trending news and called to gossip. Zi Yunfei, did you really snag the film queen? I frowned. Watch your words. You married the film queen, not wanting my private life to be pried into. I lead, no. Yeah. I thought so. How could Liu Ying possibly take a liking to you? The other person seemed to think of something. He chuckled mischievously. Even if she were to fish for something, it would only be for rich men. My family owns a mine. Who knows, I might still have a chance. What nonsense are you spouting? Don't you know? When Liu Ryan first debuted, she was famously known as a glamorous star. She had a set price for a night. Before she could finish speaking, I hung up the phone with a dark expression. Who Liu Ryan really is, no one knows better than me. I've known her since I was 15. At that time, Liu Ryan was 18. She became a sensation and soon became the brand ambassador for my family's company. When one of her offline stores opened, she was invited to promote the event. I happened to be on summer break. My dad couldn't stand me spending all day playing video games. He insisted that I come along to help. I was extremely reluctant. In my rebellious phase, I acted out. I deliberately roller skated into the store. The tile floor was smooth. I couldn't stop in time. People gasped and scattered. I was just about to crash into the steps and fall face first into the ground. A pair of slender arms caught me. On the promotion stage, Liu Ryan was the closest to me. She was knocked back a few steps by the force of my charge, but she didn't let go. Are you okay? We were too close. Her long hair swung over, the tips of it brushing against my arm, emitting a faint floral scent. My face turned red. I looked up, only to find myself staring into her large, glistening eyes. Her skin was as fair as snow, which made her bright black. I stand out even more. Her gaze was full of concern. There was no disgust, no blame. In an instant, I was blushing from head to toe. My heart raced wildly. After being a carefree, idle rich kid for so many years, I suddenly wanted to turn over a new leaf. My father knew how to handle me. He promised that for every 50-point increase in my grades, he would invest in a film for Liu Ryan. The entertainment industry was brutal. Liu Ryan had no connections or backing. I wanted her to have a smoother path in life, so I threw myself into studying. In 3 years of high school, I went from being at the bottom of the class to rising to the top. My dad was very pleased. He kept his promise. During those years, Liu Ryan kept getting film offers. Her value soared higher and higher. Her career was smooth sailing. But behind the scenes, rumors swirled. They said she relied on wealthy benefactors and adopted godfathers for support. With such good resources, she must have slept her way to the top. I couldn't stand it. I defended her online, fighting back against the trolls. In the end, my family confiscated my phone and computer. Use that free time to memorize more vocabulary words. They said, we'll send you abroad after you graduate. My life had been planned out so perfectly. Except for Liu Ryan, she was the unexpected twist. My parents were prejudiced against the entertainment industry. They didn't allow me to get too close to any celebrities. So I secretly got Liu Ryan's contact information. During my family's company events, I could only occasionally see her. Before the college entrance exams, we signed a new endorsement deal. I asked her to meet me in the lounge. Liu Ryan sneaked away from her assistant and manager and came alone. Like a secret agent on a city street, she pushed open the glass door. "Here's the little kid again," she teased, "looking for an autograph? I'm an adult now. Stop calling me that. You're just a freshly turned 18-year-old, she said teasingly. Liu Ryan smiled, to dimples forming on her cheeks. Her lips were a vibrant red, like a cherry glistening with a playful smile. In just 3 years, she had blossomed into a stunning beauty. She was like Snow White straight out of a fairy tale. I couldn't quite meet her gaze. Feeling uneasy, I averted my eyes. "Only 3 years apart," I muttered. Liu Ryan swiftly uncapped the pen, signing her name on the postcard I handed her. "3 years is a lot," she teased. "You should call me Big Sister." The autograph was just an excuse. I simply wanted to spend a few moments alone with her. Following her playful suggestion, I softly called her Big Sister. "Could you write a little more?" I asked quietly. Liu Ryan thought for a moment, then added another line above her signature, "To Zi Yunfei, study hard. Improve every day." There was a trace of melancholy in her expression. "Make the most of your chance to study," she said gently. I didn't fully understand the sadness in her eyes. I tucked the postcard into my book, taking it out occasionally between classes to refresh my spirits. The back of the postcard was printed with a photo of Liu Ryan. Her thick, long hair was braided into two pigtails, giving her a pure and sweet look. When my classmates saw the photo, one of them snatched the postcard away. He teased loudly, "Oh wow, Z, the big young master, is a fanboy now." Annoyed, I reached out to take it back, but the classmate raised his arm higher, wearing a mischievous grin. "Don't be fooled by how innocent she looks," he sneered. "In private, she entertains rich men over drinks." Liu Ryan had starred in many hit dramas over the years. With her growing fame, more classmates gathered around to gossip. "It's true, I swear. My dad attended a dinner with some officials. He saw it with his own eyes. No one in that circle is clean." I grabbed that classmate by the collar, furiously shouting, "You're talking nonsense. Do you have any proof? You can't just slander someone's reputation like that. Don't spread rumors so recklessly, or I won't be so polite next time." Some of the other students were also fans of Liu Ryan. They were skeptical. "Yeah, you can't just throw dirt on someone like that." Humiliated in front of everyone, the classmate couldn't keep his composure. He loudly retorted, "My dad even showed me pictures. I have them on my phone." As he fumbled through his bag for his phone, he sneered at me, his tone mocking. "Zi Yunfei, your dad was at that dinner too. Why don't you ask him if your idol toasted him as well?" That was the last straw. I couldn't hold back my anger anymore. I punched him, knocking him to the ground. He fell, dragging a desk with him. Books and chairs clattered to the floor, filling the room with a thunderous noise. I grabbed back the postcard with Liu Ryan's signature and smashed his phone to pieces. Afterward, I was punished by the school. But since my dad had funded the construction of the science building, they didn't put it on my record. When I got home, my dad was furious. He pulled out his belt and scolded me harshly, frustrated by my behavior. Even being a fan has its limits. "If you keep going crazy like this, I'll find someone to blacklist her." I stubbornly refused to admit I was wrong. Liu Ryan would never do something like that. Why wouldn't she? It was me who made up an excuse to ask him to help buy cigarettes. I had him stay behind to entertain those guests with drinks. If I hadn't, who knows what they would have done to him? I froze, confused. Why would she do that for my father? My dad paced back and forth in frustration. "Find someone else to idolize. That Liu girl isn't a good person." I clenched my fists tightly, saying nothing. Memories of Liu Ryan's innocent smiles flashed before my eyes. So pure, so flawless. Her bright, smiling eyes shone like morning stars. I didn't believe it. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. I tossed and turned in bed late at night, and for the first time, I dialed the number I had long memorized. It rang for a long time, almost until I was ready to hang up. When finally the call connected, "Hello," a girl's voice, slightly hoarse, answered. In the background, there was a cacophony of noise. I sat up straight instantly. "Where are you?" Liu Ryan didn't answer. Her voice was cold. "Do you need something?" A terrible suspicion crept into my heart. But I didn't dare ask directly. I hesitated for a long while, and carefully said, "Big sister, there's no one home right now. I'm all alone and feeling really bored. Could you find a quiet place to talk with me for a bit?" Liu Ryan hesitated. Before she could respond, I heard a drunken man's voice from her side, calling out to her. "Miss Liu, so this is where you are." Through the phone, I could hear the rustling of clothes and the sound of a physical struggle. "Mr. Wong, you're drunk. I'll go get you some hangover medicine." It sounded like the man grabbed her. "Miss Liu, you're the best medicine I need. Come with me. Your father's debt. You'll pay it off for him." Liu Ryan's voice grew frantic, filled with clear panic. "Let go first. I'll transfer the money as soon as the payment from my next project comes through." "I don't need your damn money," the man growled. The sound of struggling grew louder. Through the phone, I heard a desperate cry, almost in tears. "Help! Let go of me! Yunfei," I shouted, panic rising in my chest. "Liu Ryan, give me the address." She barely managed to whisper the name of a hotel before the man's angry voice cut her off, ending the call. I immediately called the police. Grabbing my dad's license and car keys, I threw on my jacket and sped off to the hotel. I drove like a madman, racing to the scene. But the police were faster. The man was arrested for attempted rape. Liu Ryan was in the police station giving her statement. I waited outside for her to finish. When she emerged, I draped my jacket over her torn dress. I grabbed her shoulders urgently, looking her over carefully. "Are you okay?" Liu Ryan shivered as if startled. She pulled away from my touch. She shook her head. "Thank you." Her hair was disheveled, her expression exhausted. She walked past me without another word. I followed her and called out, stopping her. "Sister," I said, my heart swirling with confusion, the question I had been holding back finally escaping. "Why are you drinking with people like that?" Liu Ryan froze for a moment, then stood at the curb, her voice cold. "It's none of your business. Is the endorsement fee we gave you not enough? We invested in so many of your films. Isn't the pay from those projects enough?" I stepped in front of her, anger flaring inside me. "Liu Ryan, why are you degrading yourself like this?" My barrage of questions seemed to hit her hard. She turned to face me, her eyes rimmed with red. "Because I'm greedy. I'm just a bottomless pit that can never be filled. Young Master Z, you've helped me before, and I'm grateful for that. But please don't stand on some moral high ground and criticize my life." I had never seen her speak with such intensity before. For a moment, I was stunned. "Sister, are you in trouble?" Liu Ryan's eyelashes were wet. Her eyes always seemed to glisten with moisture. But I couldn't tell if it was naturally so or if she was holding back tears. "Yunfei, stop asking." She took off the jacket and handed it back to me. "We don't belong in the same world. Stay away from me. Right in front of me." Liu Ryan pulled out her phone and blocked my contact. "Don't come looking for me again." And just like that, my youthful crush ended. Without warning. I didn't even get the chance to confess my feelings. Liu Ryan vanished. Not only did she disappear from my world, but she also disappeared from the public eye. The man who harassed her that night, after being released from the police station, reported to the media about Liu Ryan's chaotic life. Her father, it turned out, was a con man. Years ago, he contracted construction work, but when a deadly accident happened at the site, he didn't resolve the matter. Instead, he took the money and fled. Later, his business went bankrupt, leaving mountains of debt. He had long been on the list of debt defaulters, as his daughter, Liu Ryan, a star making a fortune from acting, was accused of not paying off her father's debts. People claimed she lacked virtue and integrity. They said it was unforgivable. When the news broke, Liu Ryan faced boycotts from fans. She became a target of public outrage. She was forced to reveal years of her payment records to clear her name. It turned out that every penny she had earned since her debut, every bit of her earnings had gone to fill the hole left by her father's debts. She compensated the families of the workers involved in the accident, paying out large sums of money. One by one, she was slowly clearing the debts. The evidence was undeniable. Just as public criticism was starting to die down, her father reappeared to stir up trouble again. This time, he deliberately gathered the media, dressed in ragged, tattered clothes. He brought along his elderly father, who had a leg injury, and publicly accused Liu Ryan of failing to fulfill her duty of filial piety. He claimed that Liu Ryan wasn't willingly paying off the debts. Every time she made a payment, she would beat and kick her elderly parents, calling her ungrateful and unfilial. The negative remarks once again pushed Liu Ryan into the public's harsh spotlight, but this time, she didn't deny it. To this day, the two sides are still battling it out in court. Liu Ryan's expression was as lifeless as her disabled mother's. In the end, after handing over a large amount of support money to her father, she took her mother and left the country, disappearing without a trace. The next time I saw Liu Ryan was 2 years later. I was studying abroad, and during that time, I had constantly been searching for her whereabouts. But unfortunately, my efforts yielded little. All I knew was that she was in the same country as me. Until one day, a science fiction movie was being filmed, and they were using my university as a filming location. Excited classmates called me to come watch the set, telling me that among the cast, there was an Asian actor. My heart trembled for no reason. When I locked eyes with a familiar pair of eyes, I forgot to breathe for a moment. Amidst the sea of people, Liu Ryan seemed to sense something. The moment she turned and recognized me, there was a flicker of confusion in her gaze. I waved excitedly, calling out to her. But she turned back around, ignoring me. Her expression was cold. Pretending not to recognize me, everything had changed. I slowly lowered my hand, quietly watching her silhouette fade away. Liu Ryan's features were still striking and elegant, her skin still as fair as snow. She stood out effortlessly, even among the foreign actors. In Western sci-fi, there's always no shortage of intense, large-scale fight scenes. I couldn't help but wonder when this delicate girl had learned such impressive skills. In every action scene, she fought herself, engaging in close combat. Time and again, she was thrown to the ground as the scene demanded. And each time she stood back up, ready to reshoot. She kept going until every camera angle had captured the perfect take. By the time they wrapped up, the sun was setting. Liu Ryan wasn't a leading role, so she didn't have an assistant. She packed up her belongings and walked back on her own. Her steps slow and deliberate. It seemed her ankle was injured. I caught up with her, calling out her name, Ryan. She paused for a moment, but then kept walking. My longing for her welled up into frustration. I followed behind, unable to suppress my emotions, tugging lightly at her sleeve. "Sister," I said, prompting her to finally turn around with a sigh. She looked at me. "What do you want?" "I just missed you." My gaze lingered on her delicate features. I reached up and gently tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "Sister, it's been so long." My eyes must have been too intense. Liu Ryan's cheeks flushed red, and she awkwardly took a step back, which seemed to aggravate her injury. She winced in pain. I looked down at her ankle. Sure enough, it was swollen and red. With a soft sigh, I knelt in front of her, gesturing for her to climb on my back. Liu Ryan hesitated, as if wanting to flee. "No need to trouble yourself. I firmly grabbed her slender wrist, lowering my voice, for the first time speaking in a tone that left no room for refusal. "Get on, I'll take you home." Liu Ryan was even thinner than before, so light, like a cloud that might disappear at any moment. Her soft body pressed against my back. Her braid had come undone, and her long, black hair cascaded down, blown by the night breeze, some strands brushing in front of my eyes. A few playful locks tickled my nose, making me smile with a slight itch. Once again, I caught that familiar scent. Liu Ryan wrapped her delicate arms around my neck, her voice muffled against my shoulder. With a reputation like mine, why do you still want to be around me? Do you think everything you see is the truth? I looked ahead, shifting her weight slightly higher on my back, steadily carrying her as if holding onto my heart. Tell me you're not that kind of person. Liu Ryan stayed silent, her cheek pressed against my neck. Tears that had long been hidden behind her eyes finally began to flow, soaking my shoulder. My dad is a gambler. I never refused to give him support, but he squandered it all away. I work like crazy, taking on as many roles as I can, but it's never enough to fill the hole he's dug. I tried to resist, but he threatened me with my mom. Liu Ryan choked on her words. I never laid a hand on my mom. I love her more than anything. The past was finally laid bare, and she had finally answered the question I had asked years ago. It wasn't that Liu Ryan had willingly fallen into darkness, but rather she had a father who wasn't fit to be called a man, leeching off her whenever she couldn't provide money. He even put a price on me, offering me to wealthy men at dinner parties. But I managed to escape each time. One time, your father helped me out. It was you, Liu Ryan said softly. You and your family are good people. My throat tightened. Why didn't you tell me then? You were still young. I didn't want to drag you into it. You've already done so much for me. The vulnerability she had never shown was now laid bare. There was no hiding it anymore. 2 years ago, Liu Ryan gave everything she had, until her father drained her of the last bit of value he could exploit. Only then was she able to rescue her mother from years of abuse. The hardships and struggles she went through weren't something that could be explained in just a few words. Hearing this made my heart ache, and I regretted not understanding her better back then, not stepping up in time to shield her from the storm. The neon lights flickered along the road. A few sycamore leaves drifted down onto the foreign streets. Passers-by hurried along their way. I turned my head slightly, my temple brushing against Liu Ryan's soft cheek. You still have me, I said seriously. I'm not a child anymore. You can try relying on me. Liu Ryan didn't respond. When we arrived in front of an apartment building, she patted my shoulder. I'm home. Come up for some tea? I carried her up the stairs, and the door was opened by Liu Ryan's mother. She still moved with some difficulty, and looked at me warily. Another debt collector? Liu Ryan stepped out from behind me. Mom, he's a friend. Her mother let out a sigh of relief and invited me inside. She brought out a pot of hot tea and kindly chatted about everyday things. When she heard about the school I was attending, her mother suddenly let out a sigh. Regret filled her voice. Ryan was actually accepted into that university as well. But then things went wrong at home. She couldn't go. I asked curiously, Ryan was a top student too? She was always a determined child. Liu Ryan, sitting nearby applying medicinal oil, interrupted. That was a lifetime ago. Let's not bring it up. She never liked dwelling on the past. The brief vulnerability she had shown was now completely gone. Liu Ryan slipped on her slippers and walked into the kitchen. You should eat dinner before heading back, she said. Following her, I took the ingredients from her hands. You have a small scrape on the back of your hand. It's better not to touch water. Teach me how to cook. You've just been handling the medicine. The smell is too strong, it'll affect the taste. Liu Ryan chuckled. So particular, she said, lowering her head to roll up my sleeves. Let me teach you something simple, like an egg pancake. Foreign food doesn't suit me. In truth, I already knew how to cook many Chinese dishes, but I didn't mention it. I played dumb listening to her instructions. Intentionally, I got flour on my hands, then asked her for help. Sister, could you help me tie the apron? Liu Ryan laughed. You really are a young master. Never lifted a finger at home, have you? With that, she pulled out her usual apron and slipped her arms around me to tie it. The motion almost like a hug. I asked her, "Do you ever think about going back to school? We could be classmates." Liu Ryan shook her head. "I have a new plan for my life. Making movies. I'm going to be a film queen." As she said this, her eyes lit up with a radiant glow, bright as autumn water, like the moon reflecting on a clear night. Her ambition was unmistakable. I smiled gently. "You'll succeed. So, future film queen, can you add my contact information back?" To my surprise, Liu Ryan refused again. She stepped back, her eyes flickering, a trace of sadness crossing her face. "I told you, we're not from the same world. We weren't before. And we still aren't now." I didn't understand. Why did she keep avoiding me? Using the excuse that I hadn't learned how to make the pancake, I shamelessly visited her several times. One day, I noticed someone suspicious lurking near her building. It turned out her father had squandered all the support money and had racked up new debts. Debt collectors had once again targeted them. I didn't want her career to be ruined again, so I secretly helped resolve the situation a few times. But you can't hide the truth forever. Liu Ryan, overwhelmed by the harassment, was forced to move again before she left. She handed me a bank card. "The money you helped me repay is all in here. I don't want to owe you." I grabbed her arm, suddenly realizing, "Where are you moving to? How can I find you?" Liu Ryan lowered her gaze, remaining silent. She wore a thick wool hat. As the winter snowflakes settled on her long lashes, her cheeks were as pale as the snow. After a long pause, she finally spoke. "When I manage to break into your world, we'll meet again." I didn't understand. She had always been part of my world and had never truly left. Liu Ryan gave me a stern reminder. "Stop wasting time looking for me. Do what you need to do. Walk the path you need to walk. Live the life you're meant to live." But what if I started to protest? She cut me off. "If we ever meet again, I hope it's when we're both at the top." Those words anchored me onto a predetermined track. Liu Ryan turned away, her figure blending into the snowy scenery, and disappeared into the spring. For 4 years, she vanished without a trace. After graduation, I returned home to take over the family business, working tirelessly like a spinning top. My father couldn't be happier, dumping all the company's affairs onto me, while he enjoyed his leisure time. In rare moments of free time, I would pull out an old book of essays from my school days. When I opened it, a postcard slipped out. The girl on the card had a radiant smile, and in the empty space was a neatly written line: "To Zi Yunfei, study hard, improve every day." I stared at the name signed at the bottom, lost in thought. Time had passed so long ago. Memories seemed to be fading away. I suddenly felt a bit confused. Was that girl with the flowing long hair the one who cried quietly on my back real, or was it just a dream? Before I could dwell on that for long, Liu Ryan's name suddenly appeared on the trending lists. She had swept the international film festivals, winning multiple Best Actress awards for a grand epic she starred in. With the weight of fame and glory, she returned to her homeland. The first thing she did was hold a press conference, revealing the truth about the slander she had faced years ago. She personally sent her gambling father to prison. Interviews and news about her flooded the film channels, and the pure goddess made her powerful return. With the title of Asia's most beautiful Best Actress now added to her achievements, public opinion had shifted drastically. The voices of insults and ridicule from back then had all turned into praise and adoration. Yet no one seemed to care about the struggles behind her glamorous success. I watched her familiar face on the screen, the innocence of her youth completely gone. Her long hair had been styled into cascading waves, her red lips as fiery as flames. Her captivating eyes were mesmerizing. but her gaze was cold. Liu Ryan was one of the few who had carved her way into the international film scene. Forced into a corner, working her way from being a background extra to winning Best Actress. It took her 6 long years to walk that road. She started from scratch. And now, she had climbed to the top once again. For the past 4 years, I had diligently followed her advice, focused on doing what I was supposed to do. I had gone from a careless young master to a respected Mr. Z in the business world. I didn't know if that meant I had fulfilled our agreement, but now I felt like I had the right to be impulsive for once. I was going to orchestrate an encounter in her world. The thought surged through my mind, and I couldn't hold it back any longer. I hurriedly called my retired father back from his vacation, placing him firmly back into the CEO's chair. You'll have to handle things for the next 2 years. I've got something important to take care of. My father huffed angrily. What could be more important than your mother and me enjoying retirement? Bringing home a daughter-in-law for you. My father raised an eyebrow, still thinking about Liu Ryan, aren't you? She might not even be interested in you now. Well, we'll just have to see about that, I replied, undeterred. My dad waved his hand dismissively. Go ahead with your nonsense, but if you can't catch her, get back to work quickly. Got it, you'll see, I replied, full of bravado. Though I spoke confidently, deep inside, I wasn't sure at all. It had been so long. I didn't know how to face her after all this time. But then a stroke of luck came my way. A friend's entertainment company was planning a new reality dating show. All the female guests were major celebrities, while the male guests were carefully selected from various industries as non-celebrities. Late one night, my friend called me up, Old Z. Isn't it trendy these days to bring rich heirs into reality shows? That's you! Why don't you come and help us out for a couple of episodes? I'm not interested. One of the female guests is Liu Ryan. Would you really pass up the chance to see Asia's top beauty up close? It was an opportunity too good to ignore. To generate buzz, my friend spared no expense, even going so far as to invite the highly sought-after actress. To everyone's surprise, Liu Ryan accepted the invitation. I immediately changed my mind. I decided to dive headfirst into the entertainment world. The recording was set in a private estate. The summer sky was clear, a gentle breeze rustling the air. Among the delicate blossoms, Liu Ryan stood beneath a flowering tree. The wind playfully tousled the stray strands of hair around her temples. Her gaze flickered like the soft light through the leaves, and even the flowers couldn't match her quiet grace. When someone called my name, she suddenly turned around. Our eyes met. Her gaze locked on mine, steady and intense. I spoke softly, afraid to shatter the dreamlike moment. Sister, it's been a long time. Liu Ryan blinked, clearly surprised. What are you doing on a reality show? I didn't want to watch you holding hands with other men. Liu Ryan paused for a moment, taken aback. She seemed like she wanted to say something but hesitated. Kid, holding hands with someone on this show comes with consequences. Then would you give me the chance to deal with those consequences? She hesitated. Yunfei, I joined this show with the genuine intention of finding someone. Liu Ryan looked up at me. But I don't want to choose you. Why, she started to say something, but I cut her off. Are you going to tell me again that we're not from the same world? I've already chased after you into your world. So where else are you planning to hide? Liu Ryan fell silent, and after a moment, she pursed her lips slightly. It's been years. You've gotten a lot more stubborn. The cold mask she had worn seemed to melt away, and her voice, almost playfully, carried a trace of grievance. It sounded almost like she was sulking. I steeled myself, deciding to pull back, to move forward. It's fine, I won't force you. You can take your time picking the male guest you like. I turned to walk away. Since you don't want me, I'll follow the program's arrangements. In the first episode, the guests were free to pair up, and one of the trending young actresses chose me. Out of politeness, I invited her for a candlelit dinner under the stars that evening. The wine was fine, and the company pleasant, but there was no sense of romance. My eyes couldn't help but drift in Liu Ryan's direction. She seemed completely disinterested in her date. The male guest was playing a song on his guitar with great passion, but she sternly pointed out that his English pronunciation was incorrect. When he invited her to cool off by swimming, showing off his physique in just a pair of swim trunks, Liu Ryan replied, "The dish so I just endorsed works wonders at cutting through grease. I'll send you to bottles sometime." I couldn't hold it in, and a soft chuckle escaped my lips. When everyone's individual dates ended, and we entered the free time outside of filming, I carried the handmade chocolates I had made earlier in the day, and knocked on Liu Ryan's door. She opened the door, leaning lazily against the frame, eyeing me skeptically. "What are you giving me that your date refused?" "The girl's on a sugar-free diet. She can't have them." Liu Ryan was visibly surprised. "So you're giving me what someone else didn't want?" "No," I replied. "I made them specifically for you, because she can't eat them." Her hand, which had been about to pull up her sleeve, paused. I smiled in exchange for the gift. "Can I schedule a date with you tomorrow?" Liu Ryan was silent for a few seconds before she snatched the chocolates and slammed the door shut. She didn't give me a direct answer, but the next day, when another female guest approached me, Liu Ryan suddenly shoved a riding crop into my hand. "Come with me," she commanded, not allowing any room for argument. The estate had a wide, open horseback riding field. Liu Ryan spurred her horse forward, her ponytail flying in the wind. Dressed in a sleek red riding outfit, her figure looked graceful and powerful. I urged my horse forward, riding alongside her. The horse's hooves trampled over the grass. As we galloped through the morning breeze, racing into the sunlight, the production crew was far behind us, with only a drone hovering overhead, tracking our movements from a distance. For a while, we rode in silence, the speed of our horses gradually slowing. Suddenly, Liu Ryan steered her horse closer to mine, hooked her arm around my neck, and yanked me down from the saddle. The drone followed the horses as they ran off into the distance. I cushioned the fall with my hand under her head, and we tumbled down the slope together. The scent of fresh grass clinging to our clothes. I lay there breathless, with the earthy smell of the field all around us. Liu Ryan lay on top of me, panting softly, with one hand pressed against my chest. She lifted her head and looked straight into my eyes. "I never intended to drag you into this, but you insisted on getting involved with me." Her eyes still shimmered with a layer of watery light, cold, beautiful, and utterly captivating. I grasped her fingers. "So, what now?" "My mother is seriously ill. She doesn't have much time left. She can't stop worrying about me being alone. I need a temporary boyfriend, just to ease her mind." "Fine, let's get married then." Liu Ryan froze in place. I lied through my teeth. "My family's been pressuring me to get married, and I just happen to need a wife. Either we get married, or we don't discuss this at all." After I said it, I felt a twinge of panic. Liu Ryan probably didn't even care about me like that. I feared pushing her too hard might scare her away. A long silence followed. My heart pounded nervously. Her hand was still resting on my chest, small and soft, sending a tingling warmth through me. I thought I was about to get rejected, but then Liu Ryan nodded. "All right." She leaned down, whispering softly into my ear. "The chocolates were sweet. Thank you." In that instant, fireworks exploded in my heart. Boldly, I wrapped my arms around her waist. "And I've mastered the egg pancake too. I'll make it for you when we get home." It felt like a dream. I had actually married the woman I had longed for. She might have been the goddess in countless men's dreams, but she was now my wife. Yunfei's alone. Unfortunately, it was just a contract marriage. Liu Ryan and I had agreed. The marriage would only be disclosed to our parents. No need to make it public. But if one day, if I find someone better, she promised to let me go and support my decision. We had been in a hidden marriage for a year now, and I had felt an ongoing sense of unease. Not long ago, Liu Ryan's mother passed away, and my anxiety reached its peak. After all, Liu Ryan only agreed to marry me to give her mother peace of mind. Now that her mother was gone, would she still want to stay in this marriage? Especially since I wasn't even sure if she loved me. It was agonizing. I had signed countless contracts, dealt with endless manipulative business deals, but I had never been so filled with uncertainty. I hugged my pillow, sighing in frustration. To make things worse, my dad called to pester me from afar. I'm overwhelmed with work. I'm ready to retire. And you've got a wife, don't you? So why are you still messing around in the entertainment industry? When he heard I had been kicked out to sleep on the couch, my dad got even angrier. You're a disappointment. When I was your age, I already had things under control. But look at you. At your age, you're still playing this game? A pure love warrior. I stretched out my arm impatiently, holding the phone away. You sure know a lot of trendy terms. You've been surfing the internet a lot, huh? Seems like your workload isn't keeping you busy enough. That hit a nerve with him. Stop talking nonsense. Your dad's been through this before. Let me show you how it's done. I'll help you. I guarantee your wife will be throwing herself into your arms. He sounded so confident. But then he went and leaked to the public that the Z family was seeking a business alliance through marriage. Since our marriage was kept secret, everyone still thought I was single. Several business partners had even expressed interest in setting me up with someone. Word spread quickly. Soon, the news reached Liu Ryan's ears. I rushed to find her, desperate to explain. But on the bedside table, I saw a pre-prepared divorce agreement. In that moment, it felt like I had plunged into an icy abyss. How's it going, son? Did the wife declare her love and secure her hold on you? And did she stake her claim? Tie your heart down? No, Dad. Ryan wants a divorce. How could this happen? It's all your fault for suggesting such a ridiculous idea. No wonder Mom's been putting up with you for so long. I hung up the phone, extinguished the cigarette in my hand, and decided I couldn't just sit and let this happen. I went straight to the set where Liu Ryan was filming, waiting for her to finish so I could immediately drive her home. I said the rumors are false. There's no such thing. It was just a decoy my dad threw out. Liu Ryan looked tired, her voice drained. Your parents don't like me. That was in the past. They don't oppose us anymore. Liu Ryan gazed out the window, her expression unreadable. Finding someone more suitable for your family ... would be a better choice. I walked over to the mirror, turning her shoulders to face me. What are you really trying to say? Liu Ryan picked up the divorce agreement from the bedside table. After my mother passed away, I should have given this to you. Her words hit me like a hammer, leaving me dizzy. I stumbled slightly, but then I blurted out, I don't want to lose you. Liu Ryan's expression remained cold, but she lifted her hand and tore the divorce agreement to shreds right in front of me. I've changed my mind. She gave me a soft smile. Her eyes sparkled, but beneath that glimmer was an unmistakable sadness. Zi Yunfei. I don't want to. Divorce you. I don't want to. Set you free. I don't want to. Let you go. I just want to keep you. But I know I might not deserve this. My emotions were on a roller coaster, rising and falling sharply. For a moment, I didn't understand what she meant. Ryan, what kind of joke is this? All these years, it's always been me admiring you, chasing you in every moment whether you knew it or not. I was the one left heartbroken, alone in the dark. And now, you're saying you're not good enough for me? Liu Ryan tilted her face up, her gaze tracing the lines of my features. Do you remember the first time we met? You came barreling in recklessly, like a stubborn and foolish kid who was full of himself. I was so worried you'd mess up the whole event, and you'd end up getting scolded when you got home. But to my surprise, your dad wasn't mad at all. He even spent money to help me get more resources. He told me, young lady, you need to focus on acting well. And for heaven's sake, don't disappoint us. Just help my son score a few more points, so he's not last in his class anymore. As she said this, Liu Ryan burst out laughing. Your dad is really something. Why was he praying to me instead of a real deity? I smiled sheepishly, rubbing my nose, finally confessing the deal I made with my father back then. If I hadn't met you, I'd probably still be a good-for-nothing playboy. Liu Ryan shook her head. You have loving parents. A good home. Children who grow up in such a strong foundation of love don't turn out bad. She sighed. But I'm different. No matter how hard I fought to pull myself out of the mud, I can never fully wash away the filth I've clawed my way up with. Everything I've got, just to escape the nightmares of my past. Only when I stand high enough do I dare to reach out and touch your world so full of kindness, purity, and innocence. I suddenly understood the different worlds she always spoke of were really about our states of mind, weren't they? Liu Ryan raised her arm, her fingertips lifting my chin. Zi Yunfei, do you know? Sometimes your naive, generous, and pure-hearted nature is downright infuriating. If I were just a little more ruthless, you'd be left stripped bare, drained dry. Not even a scrap of you would be left. Her fingers were soft, tickling my chin like a kitten's paw. I looked down at her. Then why didn't you? Liu Ryan tightened her grip, her nails digging into my skin slightly. Because I have a conscience. I've pushed you away countless times. I've given you every chance to run, but you insist on staying in front of me. She had been pushing me away since she was 18, and now at 28, we had parted ways and reunited so many times. It's frustrating. Liu Ryan tilted her head, her red lips slightly parted. She bit down on the corner of my mouth, the faint sweetness of her lipstick filling the air. She narrowed her eyes, looking at me with a teasing gleam. You came to me willingly, so don't blame me if I take advantage. I raised an eyebrow playfully. And what is my dear sister planning to do to me? Liu Ryan smiled, her lips curling mischievously. She grabbed my tie, wrapping it around her hand, and with a swift tug, pulled me closer. Her lips brushed mine in a light, searing kiss, as she whispered softly, I'm going to ruin you. I laughed, my hand wrapping around her slender waist. And what about your hero on the 7 colored clouds? Have you given him up? Forget it, I still prefer the little fool on roller skates.